Congratulations and thank you for registering with us. Let me brief you what you are going to learn in this course. This course has been divided into 7 sections. In each section, I have discussed in detail about different aspects that you would need to master to emerge as an amazing leader. In this course, you will learn human characteristics and how you can understand your people and modify your actions, which will allow others to follow you and respect you, which is, my friend, is being a leader. You will learn the 360-degree approach of leadership. You will also learn to leverage the emotional intelligence to your benefit to emerge as a great leader, and many more. So be prepared with your pens and notepads to take notes while you listen to the lectures. Each section has exercises to be done for better understanding of the concept, and I would encourage you to complete the exercises before you move on to the next one. Exercises are very important part of the entire process because that will give you your hands-on experience and make your learning even better and concrete. Throughout the course, you will hear me giving many different examples in the form of case studies and stories to make your understanding better and relatable. I know a lot of you do not have time to sit and go through the videos. Well, here's the good news. This entire course is specially formulated in a way that you can just listen to it and pause it whenever you want and do the exercises at your will. So let me tell you what I personally do in such scenario. I drive to my work every morning listening to an audio course or an audio book, just like this one. It saves my time, makes me more productive, and in my opinion, it's the best use of my time. Once you have successfully completed the course, in the last section of this course, you will learn the tools and techniques to apply these principles in the real life. And you will emerge and you will learn the practical leadership skills. And I have also explained how you too can do the same for yourself. So what are you waiting for? Let's dive into creating. When it comes to emotional intelligence, the first thing that comes to my mind is self-awareness. The core of high emotional intelligence is self-awareness. If you don't understand your own motivations and behaviors, it's nearly impossible to develop an understanding for others. Self-awareness will enable you to think of actions to improve your company's capabilities and encourage your peers, other leaders, and your team members. This in turn will enhance your assets in order to succeed as a leader and also in obtaining better results. When you are self-aware, you will also become self-confident and have strong executive presence, and you will have more control on your feelings, moods, and emotional impulses. Here are 2 things that you should do to enhance your self-awareness. Keep a journal. Journal helps you improve your self-awareness. If you spend just a few minutes each day writing down your thoughts, this can move you to a higher degree of self-awareness. Slow down. Whenever you feel like reacting to a situation or mess up, just move away from there and revisit the situation after some time. During this time, ask and examine why. Remember, no matter what the situation, you can always choose how you react to it. On your path to become an exceptional leader, you must be willing to be at the service of your people. The first and foremost learning for a leader in the making is the servile leadership being absorbed and demonstrated. I have always been a firm believer that you get back in life what you have given out. Give whatever you want in life and you will get it back plentiful. You want a smile from someone? First give out a smile. You want love? Give love. You learn most when you teach. You gain the best friendship if you are willing to give your best in the friendship. And the list goes on and on. I know, being in the leadership role, there is always another leader above us, and we always lead, and we always tend to think that if we are not in limelight, we might not get recognized. I am sure many among you might be thinking exactly the same right now. Am I right? Well, let me put it this way. If you wanted to hog the limelight and be center staged at the expense of your people, someone would for sure find reason to put you out. However, if you choose to center stage your people and give credit and recede from the spotlight, someone will for sure find a way to center stage you. For sure, I am telling you. To get care from the team, you have to give care. Even a simple lesson like this one takes forever for some people to learn, to be learned by young and aspiring leaders nowadays. I have seen so many organizations in their zeal to reward great technical delivery, reward their star performers, and promote them to be team leaders. Unfortunately, in quite a few cases, they lose a star technical performer and gain lousy team leads. Fortunately, that age-old question now has an answer. Are leaders born? Are leaders born? The answer is no. Just like any other skills, leadership can be developed and groomed. Anyone can become a great leader over time with practice and if they believe in themselves. So becoming a servant leader sounds pretty straightforward so far, but as with most things, it's far easier to talk the talk than to walk the walk. Here are suggestions for ways to recognize your personal and professional habits to improve your. So the first thing that you must do, that you must understand is, so everything starts with you. That is the first understanding you must have as a leader. As said by Israel Moore-Evor, a self-leader looks around for problems and then thinks deep to develop solutions to them. If you cannot lead yourself, then you can never lead anyone else. Self-leadership is the greatest challenge for anyone in a leadership role. Spend quiet time with yourself to know yourself. Discover who you are, what you want to achieve, and how will you get there. True leaders know who they are and what they stand for. They know their values and the rules they will abide by, irrespective and regardless of the circumstances they face. They allow their people to understand the values they are committed to uphold, which lays a great foundation for the rules their people will be expected to adhere to. Learn from your experiences, develop self-discipline, and take action. Always stay calm, always stay connected with people and look for opportunities because this will add to your knowledge. True leaders both know and communicate their values openly with the people they lead, creating an atmosphere of certainty and trust. A successful leader doesn't move without practical, definite plans. They plan their work and work their plan. Well, I am sure after listening to all about the leadership and ethics and everything, this is the time you should learn a very fundamental thing about the leadership. That is, it is nothing but your state of mind. Have you ever led by a manager who leaves everyone in the dark? A seagull swoops in, squawks and thumps. Or a keeper, two-faced and gutless? If the answer is yes, then you already know exactly what type of leader you do not want to be. I have borrowed the above paragraph from Rebecca Hurston, Director of Programs at Aspire, who beautifully describes the leaders and managers. I am sure many of you have worked with at least at some point in your career with such leaders, right? No, with such bosses. They are not leaders, they are boss. You might be reading this as a newly appointed manager, or perhaps you have been managing and leading for years. It's never too late nor too early to look at how you can adapt your thinking to be a wonderful leader for your team and for your team who needs a leader. Leadership is a state of mind. Leadership is not a position. It is a mindset. Leadership development is a mindset development. Mindset development is not a science rooted in analysis or profession rooted in training. On the contrary, it is a practice rooted in experience. We attain experience only when life happenings get well digested. To digest them thoroughly, one needs to deeply reflect on what has happened to him or her within a given context in order to understand the real meaning of it. Understanding the deeper meaning of ourselves and world around us is the essence of good leadership. Unless the meaning is understood, leadership is mindless. To become a mindful leader, one needs to raise self-awareness of the reality of things, become better aware of one's body, mind, and feelings, overcome some of the delusions and discard some of the outdated beliefs and even values for that matter. For that reason, one needs to develop a reflective mindset by exploring one's feelings, emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. Such reflections can bring forward a number of contradictions into what leaders are expected to do and what that potential positive or negative impact can or should be. Reflective mindset means getting the insight into one's personal qualities as a leader to carry out well-diverse set of responsibilities. Next, to become the mindful leader, one needs to develop a collaborative mindset. Accordingly, behavior of people within a given organizational context need to be viewed from a variety of perspectives, interests, goals, positions, values, and etc. With a focus on how the relationships among employees and other businesses and other business partners are developed, used, and sustained. Collaborative mindset means getting the insight into personal qualities. A leader needs to develop personal partnerships, and cooperation across different stakeholders, groups, and handle well organizational politics and power games. Stretch your belief in yourself. Yes, again, belief, because this is the core of everything you do in life. Don't just be satisfied doing what you have done for the last so many years. Think of doing bigger things or even the same thing better and faster. Think of achieving bigger goals. Goals give us purpose in life. Have stretch goals for yourself. The sense of accomplishment when you achieve these stretched goals is simply out of this world. I have conducted a lot of interviews for a lot of recruitments, and when someone tells me that he has so many years of experience, I probe to determine whether that is the genuine case or it is really a years of experience and learning repeated so many years. You may not be surprised to hear that quite often it is the latter. So the next time your boss asks you to achieve stretched goals at work, remember you are not doing the organization any favor. That may well be a byproduct for sure, but enhancing your own self-esteem and happiness. Whatever you can do or even dream of doing, go ahead and begin it. For boldness has power. Trust me on that. Genius and some magic in it. It may not be a perfect science and there are quite a few exceptions, but I do believe that the universe is fair and you get back from life what you put into it. The so-called overnight sensation put in years and years of efforts before he or she got the spotlight. I am sure you are now thinking about some movie stars or some singer or some sudden pop star or something. But imagine those people did not come to a spotlight just in a day. There is underlying years of hard work. And then one day they became successful and you get to know them only on that day because when they become super successful. In fact, I love a quotable quote from a CEO of a large Fortune 100 company saying, "It typically takes 15 years to groom and develop an overnight sensation." So don't just stand there and say, "I wish I had his luck," or "I wish I was as talented as her or him." Better you figure out where you need to develop yourself and go for it. Mistakes will happen. It happens with everyone. Mistakes and failures is the part and parcel of being successful. If you are a sportsman, there will be games you lose. Don't worry yourself about committing those mistakes. They are just stepping stones in your learning process. Take my word. Another famous example here, Edison. While he was working on creating the electric bulb, which he successfully invented finally at his 100th attempt, he had said himself to figure out that it worked for him on the 100th time because he figured out 99 ways how not to have a functional light bulb before he figured out how to have one that actually works. The shame is never in having failed. The shame is only in not having tried. The 11th hour syndrome. I am sure many of you have heard about it. So it is something that took some time for me to actually absorb. But it is so essential to know and understand. They say it is the darkest and coldest just before the dawn. Likewise, people who hang onto their objectives in the face of trauma get what they have been striving to achieve for so long. Don't give up on your dreams. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Yes, persistence is the key for every success. And in your journey to become a great leader, you must learn the art of persistence and develop a never give up attitude. Share in other people's joy. Empathy is not just about feeling sympathy or pity. It can also be experienced in response to positive emotions like happiness and pride. Research on capitalization suggests that empathy for positive events, such as expressing enthusiasm when someone shares good news, can be just as important for relationships' well being as empathy for negative events. So, next time when someone is sharing their joy and happiness with you, try to show your enthusiasm and listen with big smile on your face. This will create a trust factor in the other person's mind for you and they will open up more genuinely. Look for commonalities with others. When interacting with people who at first glance seem to be different from you, look for sources of commonality and shared experience. Maybe you are fans of the same celebrity or both know what it's like to lose a pet. If you cannot find anything common, you can remind yourself that you are both members of the same species. Jokes apart, finding commonalities will help you overcome fear and distrust, and this will promote empathy and cooperation. As this course is about being an effective leader, I want you to practice this exercise with your team to help your team work better with each other. So, I am sure by now you are aware about why and how storytelling is so important in corporate world, in leadership. So me and one of the co-author, Mr. Akshay Goyal, who is the co-author of many of my courses and he is just amazing. So we have decided to come up. He is an expert storyteller and he has worked a lot on storytelling and trained many people. So we have collaborated together and we are at present working on a course which is going to be in detail about storytelling. So the course is probably coming by next month, and action mindset means knowing what leadership practices, beliefs and approaches need to be get abandoned. What changed and what needs to be sustained? What nourished and what enhanced in order to create a better business and society? According to management experts, there are 5 fundamental type of mindset you need to combine to be an effective manager. I have added some examples at the end to put each of them in context for you guys. I worked as a senior project manager and I used to handle 3 different teams with 3 different team leads reporting to me. I wasn't expected to interact with each and every team members. I could have only talked with the team leads and done my job like rest of the managers used to do. But as I always valued my relationship more than work, I made sure to meet each one of my team members and I conducted trainings and I conducted a lot of training sessions to learn more about their areas of concerns and etc. I knew each and every one of them and their family members. I built relationship with them so that when they are in need, they can feel free to come to me for help. Instead, wasting time figuring out something they probably cannot solve on their own. I fought for their bonuses and I fought hard when they were right. In return, I received the Best Employee Award. My client loved my work and one time delivery. And every time I delivered each and every project on time. I was the best in the client's eye and I could not have done that without the support of each and every member of my team. People from my team voluntarily stayed late just to finish my work on time because they loved me, not my position as a manager. And guess what? Even after 5 years of leaving my job, I asked them for some help and I receive it. Remember one thing only. If you have to remember only one thing from this course, then remember this. Nobody will remember your position, but they will remember you forever about how you made them feel. And to become a good leader, you must make your people feel important about themselves. And take my words, your returns will be amazing. So now, after looking at the expressions of both your customers, who do you think is saying the truth? Customer B, right? Yes, that's why it is so important to notice facial expression. Because when you learn to notice facial expression, sometime even when people say yes, but in reality they mean no, and you will be able to recognize that no hidden under the big yes. Well, it's obviously easy to support your own point of view. After all, it's yours. But take the time to look at situations from other person's perspective as well. Put yourself in someone else's position and then see the challenge on hand. Pay attention to body language. Your attentive or inattentive eye will give away your thinking. Perhaps when you listen to someone, you will give that occasional nod of head or you cross your arms while looking the other way. This tells others how you really feel about a situation and the message you are giving out through body language. May or may not speak the same language as the words you are expressing. This tells others how you really feel about a situation and the message you are giving out through body language. You may or may not speak the same language as the words you are expressing. Leaders doing well in emotional intelligence turn out to be good communicators. They are just as open to hearing bad news as good news, and they get the emotional buy-in, excitement, and support from the team about a new mission or project. I have also seen that the leaders who have good social skills are also good at managing change and resolving conflicts. The equation and rapport that they build with their teams carries them through the thick and thins. They set an example with their own behavior. Learn how to praise others. This is one of the core jobs of a leader, and you can inspire loyalty of your team simply by giving praise when it's earned. Learning how to effectively praise others is a fine art, but well worth the effort. I have an entire course on 10x your social skills where I have explained in detail on how you can learn to praise others along with many other important social skills. There is an entire section dedicated only to learn to praise people. I would recommend, if you wish, you can go ahead and check that out for yourself. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to look at yourself, think deeply about your emotions and behavior, and consider how they affect the people around you and align with your values. You can become more self-aware by knowing your strengths and weaknesses and asking for other people's feedback on them. Also, learning to manage your emotions so that you consider how your actions and behavior might affect others. We will discuss this part in detail under our emotional intelligence section of this course. As of now, let's move on to our next point, that is persuasion. The inner circle. One of the biggest changes I have seen socially in urban India over the years is how joint families are giving way to nuclear families and how I, me, and myself is taking over the we of the family. We are living in the iPod and the iPad generation, taking shapes and more thinking of the next door neighbor forces on I. However, it is also true that we are social animals and the need for close interaction and friendship will always stay strong. You will want to share your pleasure with that someone you love or cherish and likewise want that shoulder to rest your head on when you are feeling down and out. Keep your close circle of friends and family. Enjoy their warmth, give them their space and time, and forgive them for their blemishes. For no one is perfect, not even you. I have also seen so many of us finally breaking down after trying to please everybody around us. There are still some genuine souls around us who want to make sure they do good for everyone and end up displeasing quite a few. The challenge comes in when the weight of expectations in return rises. These genuine souls start expecting good things in return from all where they have done good. And unfortunately, they do not get that measure back. My suggestion here is make sure you have a strong inner circle of 4 to 5 selfless contacts whom you will endeavor at all cost to keep safe and happy. There is a much better chance of reciprocation here. But that also should not form the basis of any expectation. Whether that inner circle is your parents, spouse, kids, or any special someone, that is actually up to you and your own judgment who they are. In my opinion, a close knit inner circle and a low return expectation bar is the key to your own happiness. There isn't any magic pill of becoming a leader of any kind of leadership. You have to practice all these that I'm telling you in this course on a regular basis. And it's my bold promise that if you do it as I'm explaining here, you will become an amazing leader in just no time. If you want to become a good leader, then learn to work right alongside the people you lead in order to get to know and care about the people you are leading. Working with people will allow you to lift and inspire your team. True leaders listen without being condescending. They are willing to hear what others have to say without rushing to judgment. They are patient and genuine in their desire to understand the thoughts and feelings of the people they lead. True leaders are forthright with their people. They communicate openly and very often. True leaders take the time to communicate often to their people in order to show that their people are valued and important to them. They understand that as a leader, they have an obligation to communicate directly with their people. So they never allow a void. True leaders take on the responsibility of communicating for themselves. With this, let's move on to our next point, which is servile leadership. Persuasion. Servile leaders use persuasion rather than their authority to encourage people to take action. Instead of imposing their opinion on others, servile leaders believe in taking the opinions of the entire team into consideration. And then, based on the mutual agreement and understanding, the decision is made so that everyone feels being part of it rather than just being told. Let me explain it with an example here. Imagine you are working on a project where you are being asked to deliver a project in a very short timeline. So, being a servile leader, you should go to your team, talk to them, and explain the situation to them, and then ask them to help you And take my word, if you ask for help and take their suggestions, they will go extra mile in getting the project done for you. Let me tell you my story here. When I was working as a senior project manager for high-end medical books, many a times I used to get projects with very short timeline. I had 4 different teams working on the different parts of the book. For example, typesetting team, indexing team, editorial team, and image processing team. So whenever I face such situations, I always call for a meeting and ask their suggestions and help. And instead of telling them what to do, I ask them to tell me how can we as a team make it a success. Let me tell you, 100% of my projects were delivered on time. Yes, 100%. That's a track record I maintained. I am sure it is now clear to you how advantageous it is to be a good leader, to be a leader than just being a boss, isn't it? Another thing is you should also build your expert power. When people perceive you as an expert, they are more likely to listen to you when you want to persuade or inspire them. This characteristic relates to your ability to dream great dreams so that you look beyond day-to-day realities to the bigger picture. If you are a senior leader in your company, work through and develop a robust organizational strategy. Then, whatever level you are at, create mission and vision statements for your team and make it clear how people's roles tie in with your team's and organization's long-term objectives. Also, develop long-term focus so that you stay motivated to achieve your more distant goals without getting distracted. Okay then, you might be a bit off track after doing the exercises and all. Well, let's pick up where we left. We were talking about how you can learn the art of empathy while on your journey in becoming an awesome leader. So what do you do next? You read. Yes, reading a great work of literature or watching a film or play allows us to temporarily step out of our own lives and fully immerse ourselves in another person's experience. Research suggests fiction readers are better attuned to the social and emotional lives of others. Good news for those who love reading fiction. Let's move on now. You should pay close attention to the facial expressions. Facial expressions communicate a lot about a person's emotional state. Let's do an exercise to make your understanding clear about why it is very important to pay attention to the facial expression. Imagine a situation where you ask your team member to work late a second time in the week. Although she agrees, you can hear the disappointment in her voice. So, respond by addressing her feelings. Tell her you really appreciate how willing she is to put in the extra hours and that you are just as frustrated about working late as she is. If possible, give her Monday mornings off. Let's do an exercise here. Consider a scenario where you are asking your customers honest feedback about the product, say a herbal shampoo. In this scenario, just think that I am that customer and you will now watch 2 different videos. Watch them carefully. And once the video ends, write in the discussion section of this course about whose feedback is the honest one. So here I am. Look at my expression. So I am customer A now. The shampoo was good. Yeah, I liked it. I will recommend it to my friends. Yes, I will do that. Customer B. The shampoo was amazing. I really liked it. And yes, I am going to ask my friends to get it. It's really nice. The reflective mindset. This is the ability to see behind in order to look ahead. Reflective leaders are able to see behind in order to look ahead. Successful visions are not immaculately conceived. They are painted, stroke by stroke, out of the experiences of the past. Reflective leaders, in other words, have a healthy respect for history. Not just the grand history of deals and disasters, but also the everyday history of all the little actions that make organizations work. Imagine yourself in a meeting when someone suddenly erupts with a personal rant. You are tempted to ignore or dismiss the outburst. You have heard. After all, the person is having problems at home. But why not use it to reflect on your own reaction? Whether embarrassment, anger, or frustration, and so recognize some comparable feelings in yourself. Your own reactions now becomes a learning experience for you. You have opened a space for imagination between your experience and your explanation. It can make all the difference in the world. Organizations nowadays may not need mirror people, leaders who see in everything only reflections of their own behavior. But neither do they need window people, the one who cannot see beyond the images in front of them. They need leaders who see both ways. In a sense, ones who look out the window at dawn to see through their own reflections to the awakening world outside. Reflect in Latin means to refold, which suggests that attention turns inward so that it can be turned outward. This means going beyond introspection. It means looking in so that you can better see out in order to perceive a familiar thing in a different way. A product as a service, maybe, or a customer as a partner. Does that not describe the thinking of the really successful leaders? Just to remind you on how you can achieve reflective mindset, just go through the section on self-awareness, lecture of this course, where I have described in detail on how you too can become a better leader with being self-aware. Let's move on to our next kind of a mindset that a leader must possess. That is an analytical mindset. Leaders who are analytical thinkers use knowledge, facts, and information to make sure they get things right. Those with an analytical mind rarely jump to conclusions. They are knowledgeable about their subject and thorough in looking at all the facts before making a decision. As a leader with analytical mindset, making the complex decision means standing above shallow analysis and easy technique, just running the numbers and going deeper into the analytical mindset. You have to take into account soft data, including the values underlying such choices. Deep analysis does not seek to simplify complex decisions, but to sustain the complexity while maintaining the organization's capacity to take action. So let's understand how you can create an analytical mindset. So the first is you question everything. Analytical thinkers start by questioning everything. They do not make assumptions about a problem, but start by questioning everything that is known about the issue in hand. While a logical thinker might start with an intuitive idea of what might be a good answer, they examine the evidence before coming to a decision. They look carefully at the facts and data before actually taking action. Analytical thinkers love information. If they have a decision to make, They will scour information sources to get every possible bit of data before making a decision. Analytical thinkers love a proper debate. They are rarely dogmatic and will encourage others to have their say. They will then add these thoughts to their own information to help them come to a decision. Analytical thinkers like a routine. They prefer to know what is going to happen and when. They can be spontaneous, but when it comes to day-to-day life, they stick to a routine that works for them. One of the downside of the analytical thinking is that it rarely allows for making a quick decision. Because they like to have all the facts, a logical thinker can be indecisive. This is especially true in complex decision-making processes. Analytical thinkers are very methodical and logical. They are rarely swayed by emotion and tend to stick to the facts, examine them in a linear way to come to a logical conclusion. Because facts are so important to analytical thinkers, this may make them sometimes appear insensitive as well. So if you ask any analytical thinker if your hair looks good or your bum looks big, don't expect a tactful answer. They will tell you the truth. That's what analytical thinkers does. Analytical thinkers are rarely fooled. You can only persuade an analytical mind with cold, hard facts. It's rarely worth trying to sway analytical thinkers with emotions or persuasion. They just want to know the bottom line. Analytical thinkers can sometimes find it hard to put themselves in another's place, or for that matter, saying it in other words, in the other person's shoes. This means they see everything from their own point of view. This lack of understanding means they can occasionally be guilty of political incorrectness. The third being the collaborative mindset. One of the biggest challenges you might face is not managing people, but managing the relationships between people. This means adopting an engaging style of management. Engaging managers listen more than they talk and do less controlling, allowing other people greater control over their own work. The collaborative leaders builds trust. The better you know each person, the more effectively you can work with them or lead them. More understanding means more trust, which means stronger teams that are growing as they learn from each other. If you look at high-performing organizations, you will find alignment, good communications, and leaders that trust their people to execute the mission. So let's understand how you can develop collaborative mindset as a leader. As a leader, it's your duty to define roles and responsibilities for your team members. When they have a clear understanding of their position, each team member will work more effectively and without accidentally stepping on another person's toes, creating unforeseen conflicts. In a collaborative environment, each team member experiences what it means to take part in the shared responsibility of results. With this type of focus, what starts out as goal becomes a crusade, with the experience of success changing from an individual achievement into a bonded group experience, building camaraderie and morale. As a leader, it's your responsibility to make your team walk this path of collaboration and success. You should be able to establish goals for yourself and your team. To drive success in team members, it's important to set measurable goals for each on a monthly or quarterly basis. The purpose of these goals is to provide team members with achievable wins. These wins have a magical way of breaking down barriers and creating positive momentum individually and collectively. Further, it's imperative to reevaluate goals and redirect whenever necessary. At each quarter's end, the outcomes of quarterly goals must be made available to the whole team as a way to measure and celebrate progress and to determine where improvements need to be made. Working with this type of transparency decreases confusion, finger pointing, and the disintegration of team cohesion. And as a leader, if you are successfully able to dismiss these negative triggers between your people, you will be celebrated as a leader. That is my promise. So practice on these. As a leader, as a collaborative leader, you should encourage innovation. As a collaborative leader, you should encourage your people to brainstorm and question the status quo in an open and non-judgmental environment. As a collaborative leader, your people must be coached and led to believe the challenges and obstacles they face can and will be overcome. When a can-do attitude is installed, it motivates team members to live up to those can-do expectations. It is also important to ask team members for their thoughts, their reasoning and ideas on a regular basis. Doing so will actually make them feel integral part of the team, and this in return will help in the overall growth of your team, and you will be recognized as a great leader. The more connected and understood they feel to their manager or their leader, the more motivated they will be to perform, impress, be creative, and to exceed expectations. Honor your words. The question every customer and every business unit asks of another is, can I count on you? Can I trust you? Will you be there when I need you? Do you care about this as much as we do? When team members and customers feel they can depend upon you and your team to deliver what they expect, business grows, relationship grow, as does revenue. As a leader, it is your duty to honor whatever you have said because your words create a foundation of trust among people around you. The best way to practice this is under promise and over deliver. I know you might be thinking that what if I fail to keep my words? I know it happens sometime. Don't worry about that. An honest apology works wonder in such cases. And as people will be learning about you being a person of your words, they will accept your failures with a grace and support you rather than judging you. With this, we are done learning about the collaborative mindset of a leader. But before we move on to our next point, I want to leave you guys with few words and some beliefs that I personally value. Always remember that establishing a collaborative environment is just the beginning of a more successful venture. For collaboration to work, it must be consistent and purposeful, with resources and rewards dedicated to its success. You may have many standout successes in your company already, but you can increase your productivity exponentially by getting them to work as a collaborative team. When team members feel they are a part of something exceptional, they are more than willing to work together to get the ball across the goal line. Collaboration works because there is nothing more meaningful, bonding, or growth promoting than a shared win. With this, we have now come to our last set of mindset. That is, a leader should have is an action mindset. One of the characteristics of action-minded leaders and indeed successful people in general is their ability to quickly and consistently achieve the right outcomes to the desired quality. They make it happen fast, and this action mindset and endeavor means they quickly work through their to-do list and build an impressive list of achievements. Imagine your organization as a chariot pulled by wild horses. That may be easy for you to do, I know. But these horses represent the emotions, aspirations, and motives of all the people in the organization. Holding a steady course requires just as much skill as steering around to a new direction. An action mindset of a leader is not about whipping the horses into a frenzy. It is about developing a sensitive awareness of the terrain and of what the team is capable of doing in it, and thereby helping to set and maintain direction, coaxing everyone along. Philosophers from Plato to Vivekananda have used this metaphor to describe the need to harness emotional energy. It works well for management too. Take responsibility. Stewardship is one of the critically important qualities a leader must possess. Great leader is always about taking responsibility for the actions and performance of their team and being accountable for the role their team members play in their organization and their team. Whether you are a formal leader or not, you have a responsibility for the things that happen in your company. Take time to think about your own values as well as those of your organization so that you know what you will and won't stand for. Also, lead by example. Before you expect anything from your team, follow that for yourself, demonstrating the values and behaviors that you want to see in others, and have the confidence to stand up to people when they act in a way that isn't aligned with them or isn't aligned with yours. For example, if you want your team members to come to office early, you should be the one who must come in first. If you want your team members to work on Sundays or on holidays, you should be there too for them, not just supporting them via phone or text or email. You must be there in person even if you do not have anything to do. Always remember, they are your people and you got to be there for them. Servile leaders are committed to the personal and professional development of everyone on their teams. To develop your people, make sure that you use training needs assessments to understand their developmental needs and give them the skills they need to do their jobs effectively. Also, find out what their personal goals are and see if you can give them projects or additional responsibilities that will help them achieve these. Building community. As a coach and a leader, the best I can say is create an environment which is conducive to change and further reinforce the self-confidence in the concerned person that he or she is capable of bringing about and handling the change. You can actually build a community by providing opportunities for people to interact with one another across the company. For instance, you could organize social events such as team lunches and barbecues. Design your workspace to encourage people to chat informally away from their desk and dedicate the first few minutes of meetings to non-work related conversations. By the way, my experience is that the bigger the change, the easier is the implementation. Paradoxical as it may seem. I have found that the smaller changes are very easy to resist. Because of the lower priority accorded, we will soon forget pushing the small new idea in the face of resistance. Encourage people to take responsibility for their work and remind them how what they do contributes to the overall success and objectives of the organization.